and this is all going to be recorded, and I'm going to tell you at the end how you can get a copy of the slides and how you can get a whole bunch of other free stuff as well. So thanks for choosing this particular seminar, and I'm sure you're going to find lots of really useful information. Unlike a lot of presenters who spend the whole time telling you a sales message, I'm actually going to give you heaps of information, and I'm going to go through it fairly quickly to make sure that you get as much information about LinkedIn as possible during the presentation. And there will be time for questions at the end, but we've only got 25 minutes, so I'll try and get through as much as I can. But if you've got a question you've got in mind, please get ready to ask it at the end. I'm also going to be hanging around the expo for the rest of the afternoon, so if you do see me, by all means come up and ask me a question about LinkedIn. So basically LinkedIn started on the 5th of May 2003, and I'm one of the first 100,000 people on LinkedIn. And there's now nearly 7 million members in Australia and 350 million members worldwide. So that's an awful lot of people on LinkedIn. And if somebody Googles your name, and 70% of hiring managers do that when they're looking for an employee, it's usually the first thing that comes up. So even my exact match domain name, SueEllson.com, took 6 months to get above my LinkedIn profile in search results. So that just tells you how well LinkedIn is really optimised for your name. And 90% now of jobs are actually not even advertised. So it's a really good pull strategy where people can come to you to find what you're looking for rather than you having to go out and find them and apply for jobs online. Which, if you think about it, if only 10% of the jobs are actually advertised online, you're missing 90% of the jobs that are out there. So I find that because I've been working with clients around the topic of LinkedIn for a long time, there's a lot of people who have issues with LinkedIn. And these are the sorts of things that they tell me that they don't like about LinkedIn. So firstly, they say, well, there's no privacy. And I say, well, look, it's all past history. It's not what you had for breakfast. It's definitely not Facebook. And it's not going to tell them you're on holiday, so come and rob my house. It's just a story of what you've done in the past. And other people say, but I don't know who I should connect to. All these connection requests come in, and who should I say yes to? And I say, well, that really depends on your purpose. But LinkedIn has a really good way of removing spammers. So if somebody's coming into LinkedIn to spam, they're likely to be removed even before you want to remove them. And you can actually block people as well. Some people say it takes too much time, particularly if they're in business and they want to use LinkedIn for their own business. And I say, well, look, if you're getting a return on investment, why wouldn't you spend the time on LinkedIn? But there's definitely ways to waste your time on LinkedIn, and there's ways to make your time on LinkedIn be valuable. The first stage is getting your profile completed, and the second is making sure your strategy and tactics align with what your purpose is going to be. Some people say it's too costly to go on LinkedIn. The premium account's about $45 a month. Well, I've been using the free account the whole time, so, there's no actual cost to actually joining it, but I will explain later in the presentation how being a premium member does add value for you. Some people say, but I can't write. I'm a hopeless writer. And again, I say it's not about copywriting experience. It's about telling the story with keywords, because at the end of the day, it's just a dumb, stupid database and a whole bunch of algorithms, and that is what drives people to your profile. Also, some people say, but I'm scared of computers and I haven't done much with technology. And I say, sorry folks, it's the digital world now, you've got to join the rat race. This is part of where we need to be. And with 7 million Australians on there, it's definitely where a lot of other Australians are too. So before I start working with any particular client, we start with this sort of process and collecting their statistics of where they're at now. So after you go home today, you can find out how many views you've had in the last 90 days by clicking on that, how many connections you've got, and I do recommend that you have a minimum of 60, and also how many recommendations you've received, so I recommend a minimum of 6. And if you've got skills that have endorsements, I recommend that you aim to get at least 20 people to like each one of those particular skills. So for those skills, if you're a specialist in a particular area, I suggest you choose about 15 to 20. And if you run networks like me, you can use all 50 skills as skills related to your experience. You also need to save a copy of your profile to PDF. So in the unlikely event that LinkedIn collapses overnight, you don't want to have to try and remember how to fill in all your details all over again. So to do that, you go View Profile, and there's a drop-down box, and you say Save to PDF. And I actually recommend that you save the file name with today's date back to front in it, so you know on this date, that's what my profile looked like. Then when you make more changes, before you do it, save your profile. After you've changed it, save it again. You can also export all of your connections. So this is a really good thing to have as a backup as well. And to do that, you go to Connections, and there's a little cog on the top right-hand side. You click on the cog, you choose Export LinkedIn Connections, and then you can save it as a Microsoft Outlook file, open it in Excel on a Mac or a PC, and you can see all your connections, first name, last name, email address, current job title and current company for all the people that you are connected to. And I actually recommend that you do that every 90 days. So this seminar is about LinkedIn hacks. So what are the hacks that you can start with? Well, first of all, you must determine what your purpose is. If you don't know what your purpose is, it's going to make it really difficult to write an effective LinkedIn profile. So you need to think about the keywords that somebody who's looking for you and your skills would be typing into the search results to try and find you. So some years ago when I first started out in IT, I used to go to seminars and they used to talk about websites and usability was the term. And then it's changed to user experience, UX, customer experience, CX, customer design, all these sorts of other words. So you need to include all of those keywords if that's the type of work you've done in your profile, because depending on who's doing the search, they're going to type in different words to try and find you and your skill set. After you've got your purpose, that's your overriding principle. On one side, you have to have your computer experience, and on the other side is the user experience. So with the computer experience, as I said before, LinkedIn is just a dumb, stupid database and a whole bunch of algorithms. So to make it work for you, you need to think keywords, because if the keyword's not there, nobody's going to find you. And secondly, you've got to have that keyword frequently in your profile, because if you've only got that keyword written once and somebody else has written it 24 times, obviously the search result is going to bring up the person who's written it 24 times before you. And then the next part is you have to be active on the platform. So that's all part of the computer experience. If you're not actively on LinkedIn, you're not going to come up as high in search results. But then when dumb Mary Smith, stupid recruiter, who can't read between the lines, looks at your profile, what does the photo look like? I'm amazed at how many terrorists there are on LinkedIn. They all look like this. You know, why would you have a non-smiling photo on LinkedIn? Make the photo attractive and for the type of purpose that you're seeking. You need to have your headline, you need to have your summary. So those three things, photo, headline and summary, that's your message now. Everything you did in the past is past experience and still really valuable to you, but your main purpose should be in those three sections. So for instance, I had a safety manager. He wore safety goggles, a hard hat and a high-vis vest in his photo. Do I believe he's a safety manager? Of course I do. I see it in the photo. And 70% of the population is visual. So if they see that photo, they're much more likely to remember you. After you've done that, you've got your profile complete, you've made it useful for the user. In that user experience, apart from the photo, apart from the headline, we want it to be easy to read. We want to have a little bit of bling in there, some images, some videos to make it look like you're in the digital world, but not too much. You don't want to look like a try-hard. You really need to include your contact details, so your mobile phone number, your email address with spaces in it, and your Skype by appointment in your summary section, as well as in your advice for contacting you section. Because if I'm a recruiter, I'm dumb Mary Smith looking at your profile, and I like you, I want to call you immediately. I don't want to wait until I'm connected and then wait for you to respond. So if you're really actively looking for work, put your number out there. My number I'm going to give to you later today, it's all over the internet. But I guarantee you, the only people who ring me are the ones who want to do business, because my message, my purpose is very, very clear. After you've done that, you've got the computer experience, you've got the user experience, you're aligned with your purpose, you've been active on LinkedIn, then if all of that doesn't work for you, then you can pay for premium. And I'll talk about some of the benefits of premium as well for you. But you must do those other three things first. There's no point paying for premium if you haven't put your keyword in. Nobody's going to find you on LinkedIn. Okay, so another thing I like to talk about is search engine optimization. So I'm talking about LinkedIn not just from a recruiter's perspective, but from a technology perspective. And if you want your profile to come up really well in search results, the keywords must be in your headline. That's the #1 priority location, which is directly underneath your name. You've got 120 characters. That's where your skill set has to be. not the words seeking opportunities. No recruiter wants to see somebody who's currently unemployed. They want somebody who's in a job and into a new job. Your current job title. So if that's got your keywords in it, this person here I'm saying is a UX manager, and then I've got those keywords after it in the job title. And then if we look at their past job, we can say they were a UX coordinator, and then there's those keywords again. So that's really going to maximise your profile. The third highest priority is in your summary. So if you're listing your skills in your summary and those keywords are there again, you've already got it at least 4 times in your profile so far. But then when you describe what you did in the job, you can use those words all over again. You can also list all of the subjects that you completed in your degree, even if it's something completely unrelated, because a lot of people are actually quite interested in what subjects were included in that particular degree. And lastly, in your experience, so for each individual job, the tasks, the achievements, the description of the company and the website address, you can have all of that in your actual experience section. So for example, I started training in 1987, but because my job started in 1982, it's actually telling LinkedIn I have that experience from 1982. So it means I have an enormous amount of experience. And that's another little quick tip. Don't say you've got 27 years experience in such and such, because if somebody sees that and they're 27, they cannot relate to it. So talk about your value and things that you offer rather than X number of years of experience. Okay, so here's some hacks for activity rewards. So if you do these things, the beast of LinkedIn is being fed and will like you and will reward you. So if you start endorsing people, and please only endorse them for what you know they're capable of doing, it will actually say, good girl Sue, you've been doing some endorsements, now we'll put your name in front of your contacts and invite them to endorse you. So it reminds people that you exist, and that's sort of a little payback for doing it. If you publish a post on your profile, that will notify all your connections that you've now completed a post. So it's another good way to remind people that you exist. If you recommend someone, then your details are on their profile. So if somebody's looking at their profile, they're going to see you. If you view others, like stalking, and this is the #1 activity on LinkedIn, is to look at people at 9 o'clock at night on a tablet, look at profiles. So if you start looking at your target people you want to work for, there's a 30% chance they will then look at you. You can also anonymously stalk people, and I don't recommend this for ex-girlfriends or boyfriends, but I do recommend this for legitimate job search and research purposes, interview preparation and so on. So if you go to privacy and settings and choose select what others see when you've viewed their profile, you can turn yourself anonymous, and then you can go doing your stalking, and then you come back and turn it off. But the one I really love is the reverse stalking, where I see who's looked at me, because that tells me whether my profile is attracting the right people. And if I've got more than 100 views in 90 days, I know it's doing well. I get about 650 views every 90 days, but my purpose is very different. Also, if you follow a company, so the National Australia Bank, they actually choose their employees based on whether they're following the NAB on LinkedIn. So if you've got target employers you'd like to work for, start following them, look at their news feed and commenting on stuff that they're publishing. So if you go to the next stage, as I said before, you do all those things, the user experience, the computer experience and the activity, and you're still not getting the results you want, now's the time to pay for premium. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you, through emails, to contact people directly. It's also going to make you appear higher in search results. It's also going to give you more search results. So if you're looking for somebody with a particular skill set, you're much more likely to find them on LinkedIn, because at the moment, it's only first and second level connections. If you connect to me, I've got 6,500 connections. That will give you more search results. So if you want to do it for free, by all means, I accept pretty much everybody. But the better level is premium, because then you'll see everybody. The analytics that they provide you are much more comprehensive. So if you want to know how people are finding you, what keywords they're using, those analytics will appear on the premium account. You will also be listed higher in the list of candidates who've applied for a job, if you do apply for a job through LinkedIn. And also, it looks like you can afford it. So, you know, if you've done all that pre-work and then you go blitzing for 1 month on the free premium account and then cancel it, let's hope you can get a job in that time frame. And also, remember, you've got to stick with purpose. And I've said this, 3 times now, but if you don't do these other things first, there's no point paying for premium. You're wasting your time. Okay, so here's some hacks that you can do straight after this seminar. Complete your profile. And I usually suggest to people who haven't done much work on their profile, it's going to take about 10 hours. And, you know, this is a once-off. It's not something you're going to have to do over and over again, but then in theory you should only have to do about 15 minutes a week to maintain your activity on LinkedIn. You must explain your transferable skills. So I've done some work with Ford, Holden and Alcoa, and of course you all know they're leaving the country. And so there was a fabulous guy who was a grip test engineer. Does anyone in this room know what a grip test engineer does? No, I didn't think so. Nobody I've spoken to knows what a grip test engineer does. So if you've got a job title that people don't know about, you need to explain what it does. Now, a grip test engineer works out how to make sure the car doesn't roll over. Now, if you ask me, that's one pretty smart engineer. There's so much complexity in that process. So if you explain that I measured this, this and this in vehicles, what could that also be applied to? Boats, aeroplanes, you know, some other moving object. So it's actually much more valuable if you explain what that particular skill set is. Because just remember, dumb Mary Smith, you know, when she's looking at your profile, she doesn't know anything about these things. So you need to explain it. You must stay on purpose. So I recently worked with a lawyer who wanted to be an artist. And you can change careers quite easily on LinkedIn by changing photo, headline, summary, telling a news story. You must tell the whole story. So some people think, but I don't want to write all that stuff. It's not necessary. You've got to think it's just a dumb, stupid computer. And if you don't tell the dumb, stupid computer all that information, it's not going to get you coming up in search results. If you don't tell someone what you can offer, how can you sell it? And a really good thing to do is fill out the projects, because if you fill out the projects, that prepares you for behavioural interview questions when it gets to the interview stage as well. If you do contact anybody through LinkedIn, ask for information. Don't say, can you give me a job? You know, because not many people are just going to give you a job on a cold call. But if you ask for information, can you tell me more about engineering jobs in Brisbane? You know, I'm really interested in getting into that field. You know, then people are likely to help you out. And also seek a mentor or an accountability partner to keep you on purpose and to keep you focused on what you actually really need to do on LinkedIn to achieve your particular goal. So, here's some homework you can do right now before I open up for questions. If you send me your first name and email address to my telephone, so now my phone will buzz today, what I will do is I will send you a free copy of these slides. I will also give you an invitation to a LinkedIn questions webinar that I'm running at 8 o'clock Brisbane time on Tuesday night. I will also give you notification when I release my book, 120 Ways to Maximise LinkedIn. And you'll also go into the draw to win 2 hours of consultation time with me worth $280. So, that's the sales pitch. Now's the time for questions. Anybody got any information or questions that you have about LinkedIn? Yep. Right. The question was, what do you not put in LinkedIn that you do put in a resume? The resume should be tailored specifically for your job. So if you're applying for a particular job, you make it match everything to do with that job description or that job advertisement. LinkedIn has everything, but a resume is targeted for that particular job. And the good thing about having everything on your LinkedIn resume, even if it's not related, is it's still going to help you come up in search results. Next question? Yeah?
Silly question. But
No such thing as a silly question.
Well, basic. My LinkedIn account no longer is linked to my email address that I had.
Okay.
How do I change it?
All right. So do you know your password? You don't know your password. Okay. So what I suggest you do is there's a help centre on LinkedIn at the bottom of the screen. Now you tell them what your old email address was and what your old password could have been and what your new details are and who are the people that you are likely to have been connected to. They will investigate that and contact you and give you access back to your profile. The help centre is fantastic. Next question. I saw some more hands. Don't be afraid. If I had internet access, I would show you a few more things on LinkedIn, so I'd be really keen to do that for you. There must be some more questions. Yep.
What are your thoughts on chronological versus grouping the skills?
Right. The question was, what is my opinion on chronological versus grouping the skills? Is this for the summary section or for the experience?
Experience.
The experience, okay. What I actually recommend in each section of the experience section is, first of all, you start off with a description of the company. Westpac is Australia's first bank servicing, one of the big 4 banks in Australia. Then I talk about tasks, ... Now, the easiest things to read, have you noticed nobody reads text anymore? Nobody reads it. All we do is scan. And we use devices and we scroll. So everything should be written in dot points of no more than 6 words, but preferably 4 words. So each dot point is 4 words. So you start off with all your tasks that you did in the job. I don't like the word responsibilities. I could be responsible for something but do nothing about it. So talk about specifically the tasks that you did in that job. And then you must write achievements. And the achievements don't have to be, I increased sales by 24%. What the achievements need to be is anything that you did that was over and above the duties of the job. So if you were seconded to Sydney to do something or another, or you were selected for a project, or if you're invited to complete more training, they're all achievements. And what a lot of dumb Mary Smith recruiters do is they think they know what a job is from the job title. So quite often they will scan your profile and only look at achievements. So if you're not prepared to write your achievements, you're going to be missing out on a huge opportunity. And then you include the link to your the website of Westpac, westpac.com.au. And that way, if they want to, they can contact Westpac and say, did Sue work for you between this date and this date? And so everything is verifiable. And if that company does not have a company profile on LinkedIn, so the logo doesn't appear, they can still copy and paste the website address, put that into the internet and, check out more information about the organisation you worked for. So another thing to do is don't be afraid. I know a lot of Australians are very embarrassed about talking about their achievements. Now, if you say, I'm the greatest salesperson in Brisbane, and I'm fantastic, I'd say go to America. They might be interested in that sort of detail over there. But here in Australia, we want to know, why are your sales so good? I increased sales by 24%, don't give out commercially sensitive information, not by $3 billion or something, but 24% by instigating new marketing techniques, So then all I hear is the story about what you actually did. I don't say, oh, here's somebody who's got tickets on themselves. I read and I interpret that information. So don't be afraid to actually write specifically what you did, but write it not as, well, first of all, when I moved into this job, I was approached about new ways to market the business, and then I came up with this idea that I would do this, and then we increased sales by 24%. I mean, who the heck is going to read all of that nonsense? But if you just said, increase sales by 24% by instigating new marketing techniques, boom, I've got the message, and I can go on and make a decision. What you actually want people to do when they're looking at your LinkedIn profile is you want them to say, hell yes, I want this person, or hell no, I don't want that person. And if you're sitting in this audience today terrified because you don't have a job and you're thinking, shit, I just take any job rather than have no job, that's actually not true. You wouldn't take any job. If I said from now on you can clean the toilets, it's not necessarily going to fit. So be clear and be very specific about the type of work you want, and particularly if you're over the age of 50, don't talk about years of experience, talk about value. And mention you're open to contract work, open to part-time work, you're interested in roles in, and be specific about the types of roles you're interested in. And if you want to drive a tram, who cares? That's fine. Put your details, you don't have trams in Brisbane, do you? No, train. So if you want to say you want to be a train driver, put it on, And I talk to students and I say, put the fact that you're still a student in your profile, because some employers want a student. So why would you just go straight for getting a job? They actually might want you as a student. Another question. Yep. How do you find a LinkedIn mentor? Okay, well, obviously I help people with LinkedIn profiles, but also the other types of people. If you're going to find somebody who can help you with LinkedIn, a lot of the members of the Career Development Association of Australia do provide help. So that's cdaa.org.au, and there's a list, find a practitioner. And you can talk to those people and ask them if they can help you with LinkedIn. But more importantly, you can also find mentors related to your purpose. So if you've decided, I want to get a usability manager job in Brisbane, right? You might go and look for other usability managers and contact them and say, look, I found your details on LinkedIn, and by this stage I suggest you call them up on the telephone and say, I found your details on LinkedIn, you came up really well in search results, is there any tips and advice that you can give me? So that sort of thing. And I have an accountability partner. What happens with a lot of mentors is they reach their expiry date. But I've got a trusted friend, and we meet once a week and we share news on what we've actually done. And having an accountability partner so that you reflect every week on what you've done, what you've achieved, whether it's related to your purpose, without them making a statement, well, Sue, you should have done that, or you should have done this. It's just somebody I report to because I work from a home office. It's really fantastic to have an accountability partner. So if you can find someone like that, that can almost be as good as an actual mentor. Any more questions before I get booted off? Yeah? Endorsements?
What are your tips for asking people to endorse you?
Yeah, okay. So I'd love you all, if you think I know something about LinkedIn, to connect with me on LinkedIn and endorse me just for LinkedIn topics. My top 3 are LinkedIn training and LinkedIn marketing. So I'd be quite happy if you did that for me. But if you want to approach people you know, first of all, you have to sort them in the order you want them. And say, look, Mary, it was fantastic working with you in my last job. I'm updating my LinkedIn profile. Would it be possible for you to endorse me just for these 3 things? So tell them specifically the ones that you want the endorsements for. And I noticed on your profile you've got these ones. Which ones I'd be happy to endorse you for those. Would you like me to endorse you for those? You can do exactly the same process with recommendations. I don't recommend you choose the automatic one. I actually recommend that you contact people and say, hi, Sarah, it was lovely working with you, blah, blah, blah. I need to get 6 recommendations on my LinkedIn profile. I'd really appreciate it if you could talk in a recommendation about these things, and I'd be happy to write a recommendation for you based on this stuff, or, if you want me to talk about something else, let me know what that is. But you really have to only, in a recommendation, say what you'd be comfortable saying in court. Endorsements, not so much. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
In my case, quantitative analysis has come up as a field. So people have endorsed me, but it's not what I do.
Okay, right. So and remember that LinkedIn is a dumb, stupid database, and any endorsements that it automatically selects is based on the content of your profile as well as who you're connected to. You can remove those categories and re-choose different ones that are suited for you. Anyway, folks, I'm sorry. I can't present to you as a group now because there's other presenters coming on, but I'm more than happy for you to follow the instructions on the screen. Happy to answer questions directly. I'm going to be around here. There's a cocktail function on at 4, so I'm going to be floating around the building, so just see me in a black scarf and a black dress and red scarf, and I'm happy to help out and answer any questions. You can also leave your details on the handout, and I've also got business cards for you if you want to take one of those. Thanks for joining Reinvent Your Career Expo here in Brisbane. You can clean the toilets.